We thought we were done with the racist trolls like Ann Coulter, and we had the ban on her. We had the ban on one other guy named Trump, right? Isn't that amazing?
I know.
There was only 2 guys we'd ever banned in TYT history, and one of them was Donald Trump, way before he ran this time around. And he broke us on that, to be fair. Okay,
and the other one you debated.
Like kids. And the other one I debated. Yeah, I mean, boy. But at some point, we've got, as a country, regain our sanity and get back to that. Because Ann Coulter is...
I've got suggestions for bans. After the election, we should revisit that policy.
Because Ann Coulter is an out-and-out racist. It's not like, hey, you guys are being libs or social justice warriors or whatever. No, she hates immigrants. She says that she's against the browning of America.
That's how you
lock
in flavor.
Of the browning of America.
Yeah, totally,
that sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah. So
you've been browned. Don't worry.
Oh, I know.
So what can Brown do for you? All right. Anyway, no, but look, the jury's in. The jury's in on her, and her saying all 4 of your parents being real Americans and born here in America, and that's how you should vote. Well, that's just a big middle finger to every new group of immigrants that have come in. And it's not based on, hey, you know what? I was really disgruntled with the Polish immigrant wave back in the 1940s, right? Yeah. No, we know what she's talking about.
I wouldn't be able to vote. I'm like the whitest person in the world. I wouldn't be able to vote because not all of my grandparents, in fact, I think maybe 2 of them were born in America.
I'm the only person at this table who could vote. So at this table, still be 1-0 Hillary.
Trust me, dig a little bit deeper. She's got problems with you too.
I'm sure. Yeah. You don't have to dig very deep. Yeah.
By the way, really quickly, just going back to the immigrant thing, Cenk was in a documentary called All Governments Lie. I had a quick cameo. But in it, they talked about this story that didn't get any coverage. I didn't know about it. I don't know if you had known about it. It was a mass grave that was found in Texas near the border. And apparently, people were trying to cross. I don't know exactly what happened. They all died, and they were all buried in like plastic bags together in a mass grave. And so I don't know how you felt watching that. I know it broke your heart, but like I literally started tearing up and crying because I thought about the number of people who risk their lives to come here, not because they're trying to bring crime or violence or rape or whatever Donald Trump accuses them of. They are leaving everything behind, literally risking their lives, in a lot of cases dying for a better life for their families. And if stories like that got a little more coverage, I feel like we would be having a different discussion when it comes to immigration,
Yeah, and so that's going to go to one of the points we're going to talk about throughout the day, which is in the old words of George W. Bush, I misunderestimated how much this country's obsessed with race. Because if, here we go, name the category. A Muslim guy had killed 200 white Americans and put them in a mass grave. That would be the biggest story of the year, easily.
Yeah.
Maybe the decade, right? If a black guy had killed 200 white guys and put them in a mass grave. Gigantic, endless story. And he said, I did it for Black Lives Matter. Okay, whatever. The biggest story of the year, right? A Mexican guy crossed the border, kills 200 white guys, puts them in a mass grave. Like, the enormity of those stories. 200 Mexicans cross the border, they somehow die. We don't know how they had died.
200?
There was 200 in that mass grave, okay? And they put it in a mass grave, nobody gives a shit. Nobody covers it.
No one even covered it.
No,
it wasn't a news story.
200 Mexicans in a mass grave. Who cares? Who cares? And we move on.
And even if you don't think that they were murdered, at the very least, it is a tragedy. If
That's right.
If 200 had been lost on a plane, we would have covered it. Maybe.
How did 200 people die and not be murdered? I mean,
no, it's probably murder.
No. We really don't know that. It might have been that they were crossing the border and their bodies were collected from different parts near that area, and they're like, oh, what do we do with them? Oh, fuck it, just put them in a mass grave. Who cares, right?
200 people, and it just seems.
That seems crazy.
Seems crazy, but
we don't know because nobody other than this one guy who's featured in the movie and that works for the Nation Institute, who had over a year to investigate it, which is great that the Nation Institute does that. Other than him, no one else is covering it.
I mean, maybe they were in like trucks that were left open and they died of,
Yeah, it might. Yeah, look, they sometimes bring them in big trucks, and so if you don't have air in there, maybe they all died in the truck, and then somebody dumped them, and the authorities here in America found them, and they're like, just put them in bags.
They didn't even care to identify the people. I mean, that was another part of it. I mean, the investigative reporter went out of his way to work with a university to identify the individuals that were killed or whatever happened to them, because there are people still living in Mexico. They're like, our loved ones are missing. We don't know where they are. You know, imagine what that's like.
They also could have been massacred in Mexico by the cartels and then transported over and dumped in
So
Mexico.
we don't know, but it's amazing that no one cares.
Yeah.
And by the way, like I said on the show yesterday, the British kid, 19 years old, tried to assassinate Donald Trump. That's a big story. He's only going to get like 2 years now in a plea deal, it looks like, but nobody covers it because he was white. If a Muslim guy tried to assassinate Donald Trump, oh my God! Imagine the size of that story.
He might have won.
Or a black guy who said he's doing it for Black Lives Matter. Oh my God! Imagine the size of that story. Or a Latino who had just crossed the border tried to kill Donald Trump. The size of that story. Oh, white kid tried to kill Donald Trump. Who cares? Let's move on. Nobody talked about it. This country's obsessed with race. Apparently, if you're white, you can take over federal buildings. You can point guns at by the way, if you're a right wing, if you're an environmentalist, good luck, brother. Okay, you can put guns at cops' head and say, we're going to murder you. You can try to kill their beloved hero, Donald Trump, and still no one will give a shit.
Well, not just trying. I mean, Sean King's been tweeting out in a small period, it was like 5 white guys had killed 6 cops. Like, they're apparently right-wingers who hated the cops, killed them. Nobody cares. I mean, we covered the guy who killed 2. How much media did that get? He killed 2 cops in an ambush.
That's why I say at the end of those stories, I said, look, maybe I could be proven wrong, but I'm going to predict it ahead of time. We will cover the story about this white right-winger who hates cops and who murdered those cops, and we'll be the last ones to cover it. And you'll never hear of it again because it doesn't serve their narrative.
Yeah.
If Black Lives Matter had executed 2 cops, what was that, in Kansas? See, I'm starting to forget. I think it was in Kansas, okay? Oh my God! I mean, look at what happened in Dallas. Look at what happened in Louisiana. And they weren't Black Lives Matter guys. The guy in Dallas was specifically rejected from all the black groups he tried to join, but nonetheless, they were all blamed for it. Meanwhile, 2 cops get executed in the middle of the country. People are like, oh, white guy did it? Who gives a shit? Who cares? Because they don't care about the cops. They don't care about criminality. They don't care about terrorism. They care about what race is he? What race is he? Because it's all about the race. It's not about the action. You know who makes independent media possible? You guys. Because of you, we can actually do this show free of any outside influence. That's what makes us so strong. Become a member today. tytnetwork.com/join. You are the media.